I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. All of Washtenaw County shares a pretty impressive body of water. This is the water that quenches our thirst, maintains our wildlife, and even provides some fun in the sun. For 38 years and counting, Huron River Day has provided a wealth of knowledge and entertainment.
It's just so everyone can get out and enjoy and appreciate and enjoy the river and have fun outside, and then hopefully they become good stewards of the river.
There are numerous ways to enjoy a trip along the mighty Huron.
Whether that's getting on it, canoeing or swimming or kayaking or tubing, or walking alongside it, enjoying the birds and the other wildlife, or maybe just sitting and painting or taking photos of it.
The day always focuses on ways to keep the river thriving.
The dirt doctors are trying to raise awareness around erosion control, so that's one of the biggest pollutions that we have in our river.
The stream table is out of the University of Michigan Natural History Museum, and it's just a way that children can affect how the river and the stream flows, and so they dam it up and then show how the water opens up.
And the entertainment lineup was must-see.
I was asked to bring dance to the Huron River Day, and I thought it would be a really amazing opportunity to build a performance for the children and actually invite them to dance with us. Because they have a butterfly house this year at the event, I thought it would be really fun to have a butterfly dance for the children.
And then Joe Riley, who has a wonderful song about the Huron River and does children's music.
It's a wonderful opportunity to meet your neighbors that you don't know you have and to get involved in the community in ways that you don't normally do on a regular basis and come out and enjoy the river.
Stay tuned, and we'll be back shortly with more news and information. Rolling Hills Park was turned into a sanctuary for man's best friend as the Humane Society of Huron Valley held their annual May fundraiser. For 39 years, Walk, Wag, and Run has raised large sums of money for animals in need. This year, they tipped the scales, raising over $214,000.
It's a fun time for over 600 dogs and their owners. And it's always great to meet new people.
They have vendors, and then some local pet stores bring gifts for free. There's food, there's prizes. It's a lot of fun. Pet tricks, the dog dive, and you can spend a whole morning here.
Speaking of diving, some dogs made a splash while others showcased their skills on land.
They have the agility course, which is cool to see how they do. They have that lure course where they run around and stuff. They chase the little flag, the dog diving competition. So I think they just all have fun and love to be around each other and smell everybody.
It's just about getting out, enjoying the day and enjoying the dogs. Without the community, we wouldn't be anywhere. We have wonderful backing from the community, and without their awareness and without their financial support, the Humane Society just wouldn't exist.
It's that time to bring your bike out of retirement, but before those wheels hit the pavement, we have some tips to keep you safe while navigating the streets in this month's City Roundup in 60.
Hello, I'm Doug Martell with the Ann Arbor Police Department. We're going to talk about a pre-check on your bikes. I call it the ABC. You're getting ready to dust your bikes off for the season. So A is for air. Make sure that your tires are properly inflated, that you have good tread on your tires. B for brakes. You want to make sure that your brakes are working properly, because if you're going, you're going to need to stop at some point, so make sure that your brakes are working properly. If you need help with those, I'm sure your local bike shop will help you out. And C is for chain. You need to have a chain that's working well, that's not rusty and corroded. So make sure that your chain is working. If it's rusty and it doesn't look like it's going to take any lube, your local bike shop can help you out getting the right length of chain for you. Thanks for watching. Please ride safely. Enjoy the ride.
It's a birthday party, and when the Fisher family reunites to celebrate their patriarch's happy day, past history and family drama rise to the surface during If I Forget. The Huffington Post calls it a juicy melting pot of drama, comedy, and realistic family strife. Joining me is director Loretta Grimes and actor Dave Barker for If I Forget. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dana.
So can we talk a little bit about what If I Forget is about? I kind of mentioned about the birthday party, but I don't know a lot about the show myself.
Sure. Tim and I saw it off Broadway last year and absolutely fell in love with it. And I think Dave would attest, it's really a gem of a play. It's written by Stephen Levinson, and he's sort of the hot playwright on Broadway now.
That's Hamilton.
Yeah. No, he's Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh, yeah, Dear Evan Hansen.
Right,
yes.
yeah.
Which I've heard a lot about that show.
Yeah, it's still a very hot ticket.
Yeah.
And,
have you seen that one?
Not yet.
No, but you will.
But I will. He got the Tony for Best Book for a musical in 2017. And what I loved about this play is it says a lot. Well, it's about 3 generations of Fishers. It's this Jewish family. They live near Washington, D.C., and they there's a lot going on. The dad is a World War II vet. He liberated Dachau, very entrenched in his faith. He has 3 children. Dave is the middle child. Dave is a Jewish studies professor. He has an older sister, Susan Todoroff is playing that character, Holly. She's married to a lawyer, has a very nice kind of cushy life. And then the younger sister, Sharon, is a kindergarten teacher, and she primarily takes care of the dad. And what happens is they're all coming together to celebrate the dad, played by Tim Grimes. His name is Lou. They're coming together for his 75th birthday. And there's just a lot of unresolved issues between the siblings. A lot, it's so dense. It brings up a lot about faith. It brings up a lot about dealing with an elderly parent. It deals with just sibling issues, unresolved issues. And I'm going to let Dave talk a little bit about it, but Dave has written this book about the Holocaust. And so he wants people to forget the Holocaust because it just generates so much hate in our society, and you see it everywhere in books and movies. And what's happening is that has caused a huge, the repercussions of that have affected the family. And so that's a huge piece of the play. But it's also, it's very uplifting. And I think there's something for everybody to relate to.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your character in the book?
Yeah, sure. No, so yeah, Michael, he's a Jewish studies professor. He's so a lot of what he's gone into Jewish studies for is, I mean, he grew up in the Jewish faith and the Jewish family, but he's really rejected the spiritual side of it and really gotten into more the academic side. He's really pushed his whole life into that. And more, I guess maybe part of it is to have, be able to explain why they shouldn't, follow the spiritual side or some, there's a lot of just kind of family background, and that's led to that. So him and his father, the mother has since passed, but Michael and his father, they're estranged at best. They don't really talk. They have a lot of obviously opposing views. So there's a lot of that to deal with. But one thing too is that we didn't mention is the play. It takes place in 2000. So the beginning of the play is in the year 2000.
Yeah.
So right at the turn of the century, before 9/11 and everything else.
Which, when you think about it, that's 18 years ago now. So it's been a while.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But it's interesting because some of the stuff the political side they talk about and the arguments between the sides is sort of prescient to what's happening now, maybe in a lot of things that we're thinking about, some of the same questions that are going around. So, I mean, each character kind of takes their own political view. There's no, maybe, you couldn't say like the whole play has one specific aim, but there's obviously the different arguments between the family members. So.
Which Loretta in acting class talks a lot about conflict and how that makes sort of a good scene or story. So I think that's kind of key. Yeah. It's interesting because you mentioned you mentioned he was the middle child. Does that play a role in your relationship with the rest of the family.
Yeah, definitely, especially between the two sisters. I mean, they're very different people. Holly, the older sister, is much more confident, I guess. She's very comfortable financially and in her position in life, where Sharon is more of the, I don't know how to put it. She's more, she feels like she sacrifices everything. She has to sacrifice everything to help the family, and she's always put upon, martyr, that's the best word. So there's a big ideological difference between those two, and so he kind of has to maybe balance between the two. Michael tends to be closer to his sister, the older sister Holly, because they're closer in age. So there's a lot of that interesting.
I think what's kind of nice too is Stephen Levinson, you can tell he writes what he knows. And he grew up in a Jewish family, and whenever they were getting together, they would have these political arguments over dinner, and very heated arguments. And I think he thought, what would it be nice to write a play kind of with that sort of at the center? And so I think too, he talks a lot. I was reading a little bit about his background. When he said he was a little boy, he grew up thinking that history was something in the past that didn't belong to him. And so he was sort of intrigued with the idea of history and creating a history and what does history mean to people. And that definitely is a theme in this play. So I think what's so amazing about his writing is he writes from his heart. He knows it. And so I think that the writing is so rich.
Well, and I think Redbud's always kind of at the cutting edge of what's new, and you're bringing stuff to this area that people haven't heard of or seen before, which I think is just such a great thing, because a lot of times you get the same shows over and over again, and I always feel like you guys are doing something new and exciting.
We do try. It's interesting. A friend of mine will say, let me guess, it's about a dysfunctional family. And I said, those are the best plays. And I think that was something that Stephen Levinson was talking about in this article that I read about him, was that, families are constantly changing, and just, and looking at a family and focusing on that is just amazing what comes out of that. And I think that family unit is, I find it endlessly fascinating. I do.
Well, and from what you've told me, this is standout work for Dave, and I'm wondering, I always like to ask this question when we're talking about acting. What was maybe the biggest challenge you've had with this character?
Oh boy, challenge. I mean, there's a lot to say.
How much time do you have?
There's just, no, I don't know. I think just all the different, the conflicting, internal conflicts that Michael has, while he's rejecting a lot of his emotional history, a lot of his family past. He really pushes away from that and tries to get away, but he's also really embracing his maybe cultural past, and then the conflict between those two. And, because, I mean, through the play, it's nice. You see him you see that conflict between, trying to push his family away, but also having that connection culturally to the family. So I guess maybe a lot of that conflict that he had is interesting. And then just, I mean, through the course of the play, watching his character kind of, he has like his one center is sort of his professional life, and actually that starts falling away too, and it just trying to recover that. So I don't know. It was a lot.
When is it?
It is, we open Thursday, May 31st, and we're Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, June 1st and June 2nd. And shows start at 8 o'clock at Carytown Concert House. And you can get tickets either through the website at carytownconcerthouse.com, or you can call them at 769-2999.
Okay. And there's still some cafe tables left?
There are no cafe tables available, I think, Thursday and Saturday, but there's still some available for Friday.
Okay, so get your cafe tickets now.
Exactly.
All right, why, you can both tell us why we should come see it for your own reasons.
I think for me, it just, this family unit just really resonated with me. It was so real and it was so honest. And it's not wrapped up in a pretty little package at the end, and I don't like families that are like that, that they're very flawed, and I think there's just something so relatable about this family, and that's why I want people to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the character, like she said, doesn't wrap up in a nice bow. I mean, but there's definitely a family story arc that just, it definitely reaches its climax and has some sort of resolution, but not maybe in the happy resolution that everything is fixed or solved. But that's really good.
And I did want to add too, it is very funny. It is.
I mentioned it, the Huffington Post said it was funny.
It is. It's very, very funny, and it's just the humor that just comes out naturally through the relationships between the siblings, and
well,
so,
even when you think probably about your own family, when I think about when I get together with my siblings, and we're always like teasing each other, and like there's always a joke or like things that happened in the past that you have to bring up to make fun of.
It becomes your language. It's
Definitely.
teasing everybody about something that they're how they are. Yeah. I mean, the other characters, and I would just to toot the horns of some of the other ones that are really funny at it. I mean, like Susan and Melissa as the sisters are hilarious. Just their pieces so funny.
And Brian Hayes plays Susan's husband. And he's very good. He does a great scene with Dave that involves vodka. and also Chris Krentz plays Susan and Brian's son, and he's also really good. Yeah, just a stellar cast.
And then Jen Ross.
And Jen Ross plays Dave's wife.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you both for coming on the show.
Thanks so much, Dana. Appreciate it.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/watchctn. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time to FYI.